Hello and welcome to part 6 of the knitting machine restoration, where we turn our attention to the case. Now this is mostly a cosmetic thing, to be fair, but nevertheless I'm going to do this to all of the plastics and also to the case as well, which is give it a good clean up. So before we do that, the first thing we have to do is we have to remove the end piece, and I'll show you what I do to the end piece, and then you can assume that I do this to the entire case and to all 4 end pieces of both parts of the case. I even do it to the metal as well. I sort out the metal, give it a good clean, give it a good scrub. Now then, whilst I'm doing this, I will come across parts that are filthy and dirty and all the rest of it, but also I will come across parts that are all right. So you've got to be a bit careful not to go too aggressive with these, because if you scrub too much, you can sometimes end up damaging it further than it needs to be. Whoops a daisy, off goes the screw. Right, now, the other thing to say about this is, the other thing to say about doing a list is that obviously I'm only showing you one part, but obviously I'm going to do it to all. These things have yellowed with age, and knitmasters in particular are prone to yellowing, and there's really nothing you can do about that. We're just going to have to just agree that nicotine yellow is a lovely colour for a knitting machine, and if not, then you have to buy a new one. Right, now off this end comes. Now if I show this to you, you can see that inside it's absolutely disgusting. It's filthy as anything. So I'll show you what I'm going to do to clean all this up. I'm just going to remove this little yarn clip as well, so I can clean under there as well. And then I shall pause the video, and you won't be very surprised, I don't think, to learn how I clean these things up. But nevertheless, let's go and do it. Now then. Right, here we are at the clean-up-atorium, otherwise known as the bathroom sink, and I'm going to use a highly specialised degreasing agent. The first thing I need to do is to get rid of all of the grease and grime that's off it, so just pure washing up liquid, smear it all over, give it a chance to work into that grease and that grime. And as I say, this is not going to be the best ever knitting machine when it's finished, although it will work. Cosmetically it'll be a bit duff, but just because it's not cosmetically the best is not a reason not to do a really good job on it and get it as good as possible. So first things first, I'm going to smear washing up liquid all over it, get it right into the cracks and the crannies. Okay, and then I'm going to use a fairly hard bristled brush to give it a good old scrub. Like that. And once I've got the grease more or less sorted, then it'll be time to get it actually clean. So that's probably most of the grease on the move, so I'll just give it a rinse. Right then. Now, it might surprise you to know that you can do this even to metal parts, but if you do it to metal parts, it's important that you dry them very thoroughly afterwards so they don't rust. So I tend to use a hairdryer to dry the metal parts, so as I say, so they don't rust. Now you can see that's made some difference, although you know it is very discoloured. Have a look at that, and that's more like the original colour, and that's what it's turned into. But now that we've got rid of, as I say, various bits of the grease, now it's time to get rid of the dirt, and for that I just use a fairly normal spray household cleaner. And I think this is actually kitchen spray as it goes, but whatever. And again, it's just a question of going as much as possible to remove as much of the dirt as possible, Now, it must be said, some of this dirt has actually ingrained itself into the pores of the plastic. And if you go too aggressive at trying to remove it, it can actually weaken the plastic. So there is, alas, a sort of maximum level of clean that this can get to. But we will get it looking as nice as we possibly can, just so that whoever ends up owning this has a pleasant machine to use and not one that looks like it spent his life on a compost heap, which, to be fair, this one does. Right, let's get that rinsed out. Now, far from perfect, I think you'll agree, but significantly better than it was. And when it goes back on, at least it will be clean. Now, this is a really good example. I don't know if you can see there's a black mark there, and that's actually ingrained into the plastic. Some of it will come off if I give it a good scratch, but I don't want to go too aggressive, just in case. There we go. Ditto with this lot as well. Okay, then this gets put to dry, and I'm going to do that to all of the other bits, including the metal case, which I will do in the bath, and then we'll move on to the carriage in part